Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Nature channel. Did you know that right now, while you are reading these words, somewhere on Earth, a tiny seed is pushing through dark soil for the very first time? And somewhere else, a river that has been flowing for 10 million years is quietly carving a new curve into a mossy stone. The Earth has lived through so many futures already. Ice ages where glaciers crept down like gentle, sleeping giants. Warm ages where ferns as tall as houses swayed in breezy forests. Oceans that swallowed continents and then gave them back. Mountains that rose and softened into plains over millions of patient years. The future of this planet is not a strange and distant thing. It is already humming beneath your feet, breathing in the trees outside your window, glowing in the slow turn of the night sky. Tonight, let that future come to you softly. Let it arrive the way rain arrives, not all at once, but one quiet drop, then another. Settle in. Take one slow breath in and let it out gently. You are here. The Earth is here. And together, we are going to drift through the most peaceful, most beautiful tomorrow imaginable. There is a forest somewhere in the world right now that does not yet exist. It is still inside the seeds, tiny, patient, smaller than a fingernail, each one carrying the full memory of an oak or a pine or a silver birch. Everything needed to make bark and root and leaf and shade. Scientists who study the future of forests say that trees are already moving, not the way you or I move, not with steps or rushing. They move the way a slow tide moves, generation by generation, seed by seed, edging a little further north, a little further up a hillside, following warmth the way a sleepy cat follows a patch of sunlight across a floor. You can feel that movement if you are still enough. The boreal forest, that great green breathing belt that wraps around the top of the world through Canada and Russia and Scandinavia, is one of the largest living things on the planet. It holds more fresh water than any other land-based place on Earth. Its trees breathe out moisture so steadily that scientists call it a biotic pump, drawing rain in from the sea and sending it gently inland. In the coming centuries, that forest will walk slowly, gently, northward. New trees will take root in places where only frozen ground existed before, and the forest will simply continue doing what it has always done, breathing, humming with insects, keeping the sky soft above it. Let yourself imagine the northernmost edge of that forest on a quiet evening. The air is cool and still. The last light is amber in the pine needles. Somewhere, a crossbill, that little bird with the curious crossed beak, designed perfectly for opening pine cones, is working away in the high branches, pulling seeds free with practiced ease. The crossbill does not know it is part of the future. It is simply content. It is simply here. In the future, places that are today cold and bare will slowly become meadows. Meadows that will become forest. Forests that will become old, deep, full of fallen logs dressed in bright green moss, full of mushrooms that connect trees to one another through underground threads finer than silk. Scientists have found that trees in a forest share sugars through these fungal networks. Older trees feeding younger ones in the dark beneath the soil, the way you might quietly leave something kind for someone who needs it without ever saying a word. The future of forests is connection. It always has been. Take another slow breath. Feel the air move into you, the same air that has passed through 1 trillion leaves before it found its way to you tonight. Every breath you take contains atoms that were once exhaled by ancient ferns, by dinosaur-era conifers, by the first tiny flowering plants that bloomed in a world where no human being had ever existed. You are breathing the deep past, and you are breathing the future at the same time. Somewhere this very night, in a clearing at the edge of a young woodland, a deer is standing very still. Her ears are soft and listening. A breeze moves through the grass. She does not move. She is simply present in the world, which is all any creature ever needs to be. The trees around her are making food from light right now, even as darkness comes. During the day, they have been gathering sunlight, and now the sugars they made are moving down through their trunks, through their roots, into the earth. The forest floor beneath the deer's hooves is alive with that slow movement, a quiet, unhurried feast going on in the dark. If you like what you are reading, feel free to leave a kind comment below. It means so much, and it helps more people find their way to this little corner of calm. In the coming centuries, new species of trees will emerge, not invented by humans, but arrived at slowly through the long conversation of evolution. Trees that are a little more drought-tolerant, a little more flexible in the face of change, the way life has always found a way to remain soft and adaptable. Fossil records show that trees survived the great asteroid impact that ended the dinosaurs. They were scorched and broken, but their seeds and roots held on in the dark and the cold. And when the sky cleared, they were among the first living things to rise again. There is something very comforting about that. The oldest living tree we know of is a bristlecone pine in the mountains of California. It is nearly 5,000 years old. When it was a seedling, barely a sprout, its first needles still tender and pale. The pyramids of Egypt were just being finished. It has lived through drought and ice and fire and earthquake and every kind of human century. And it is still there, still growing. One slow ring of wood per year, each ring a year of weather and light and rest. The future holds many trees like that. Trees that will still be standing when everything we now call modern has become something very old and interesting to think about. Breathe slowly. Feel yourself settle a little further. The forest is patient. And tonight, so are you. As you rest, picture a hillside covered in young silver birch trees. Their white bark almost glows in the evening light. The leaves flutter, and every flutter is different. No two exactly alike. No two catching the light in quite the same way. The birch is one of the first trees to move into open land, one of the great pioneers of the forest world. Where birches go, others follow. They prepare the soil, they bring shade, they create the conditions for oaks and beeches and maples to come after them. They are generous like that. The future of Earth will be full of that generosity. It always has been. The rain that falls tonight has fallen before. Every raindrop you have ever watched streak down a window was once part of an ocean or a cloud or the breath of a sleeping forest or the sweat on the leaf of a plant reaching toward sunlight in a jungle that no longer exists. The water cycle is one of the oldest dances on Earth, and it has never once stopped. Not during the ice ages, not during the warmest ages, not through any of the great shifts this planet has lived through. The water just kept moving, up into clouds, down into rivers, into roots, into the sea, back up again. Scientists estimate that a single water molecule might complete the full water cycle, from ocean to cloud, to rain, to river, to ocean again, in about 9 days on average. But some water molecules have been locked in glaciers for hundreds of thousands of years, held in the deep cold, like a long, quiet breath being held. When a glacier melts, that ancient water is exhaled back into the world. It joins rivers and eventually the sea, carrying with it the memory of a very different sky. The oceans of the future will be different, and also deeply, profoundly the same. They will still be blue in the way that only depth makes something blue, not from color, but from the behavior of light, scattering the short blue wavelengths back up to your eyes while swallowing all the reds and yellows in the dark below. They will still have tides pulled by the moon's patient gravity. The moon is drifting away from Earth just a tiny bit each year, about the width of a thumbnail. And in the far future, the tides will be calmer, the nights a little darker, the moon a little smaller in the sky. But for many millions of years yet, it will still be there, round and reliable, rising and setting, pulling the water gently as it always has. Imagine standing on a beach at dusk. The light is warm and low. The waves are small this evening, barely more than a murmur, each one curling in with a soft hiss, and then drawing back through the sand with a sound like a long, comfortable sigh. You know that sound. It is one of the most ancient sounds you carry inside you, something remembered in the body long before the mind ever learned to name it. The ocean floor is a kind of living library. It holds the records of every climate the earth has ever had, written in the layers of tiny shells that have drifted down through the water for hundreds of millions of years. Scientists read those layers the way you might read the rings of a tree, slowly, carefully, finding the story written in each thin band. The future will add new layers, and somewhere, millions of years from now, those layers will be read too by whoever or whatever takes the time to look. Coral reefs are some of the most alive places on Earth. A healthy reef hums with motion, fish darting through arches of coral, sea urchins moving slowly across the rock, tiny shrimp cleaning the gills of fish, who hold perfectly still while they work. A single coral polyp, the little animal that builds the reef, is barely bigger than a grain of rice. But colonies of them have built structures large enough to be seen from space. The Great Barrier Reef is the largest living structure ever built by living things on this planet. Coral has recovered from great extinctions before. It is slow. Coral takes centuries to rebuild, but it has always come back. The future ocean holds new reefs in places they have not yet grown, along new coastlines, in waters that will be warm enough for them where they are not warm enough now. Life is endlessly creative about where it chooses to be beautiful. Please do check out the full playlist on this channel. There are so many peaceful stories waiting for you there, each one a gentle journey into the natural world. Beneath the ocean's surface, in the middle depths where the light fades from blue to the darkest blue-green, there are creatures that have changed very little in hundreds of millions of years. The nautilus, with its perfect spiral shell, has been sailing through the ocean in almost exactly its current form since before the dinosaurs. The horseshoe crab crawls up onto beaches in spring to lay its eggs, just as its ancestors did 450 million years ago. There is something very calming about creatures like that, a reminder that existence itself, the simple act of being alive and moving through the world, is something this planet is extraordinarily good at sustaining. The future ocean will have new creatures too, not invented overnight, but slowly shaped by time and pressure and the quiet logic of what works. In 100 million years, some of the ocean's creatures will look as strange and marvelous to whatever eyes are watching them as deep-sea fish look to us now. Creatures that carry their own light in the darkness, that drift through the cold silence of the deep on fins as thin as paper. For now, imagine the surface of a calm sea at night. The stars above and their reflections below are almost the same. A gentle swell passes under you, lifting you barely an inch, and then setting you back down. The water is very slightly warm from the day's sun. Somewhere in the distance, something phosphorescent is glowing. Those tiny plankton that light up when disturbed, turning a wave into a ribbon of soft blue fire. It is one of the most magical things on Earth, and it has been happening on this planet for hundreds of millions of years, every night, out in the dark water with no one watching at all. And it will keep happening long after tonight, into a future you cannot quite see, but can feel. Quiet, shimmering, endlessly alive. Grasses are among the most successful plants that have ever lived on Earth. They arrived relatively late in the plant world's long story. Grasses, as we know them, appeared roughly 60 million years ago, long after the flowering plants had already diversified into thousands of forms. But once grasses arrived, they transformed whole continents. They covered plains and prairies and savannas. They fed herds of animals so vast they were almost impossible to count. They held the soil together against wind and rain, with roots so fine and so numerous that a single square foot of healthy prairie can hold several miles of root threads, all woven together in the dark. The future of grass is wide and deep and green. Stand in a meadow on a summer evening and let yourself feel the grass against your hands. Each blade has a waxy coat that prevents it from drying out too quickly. The tips of grasses are slightly sharp. Run your finger along one, and you can feel the tiny serrated edge that protects it from being eaten too efficiently, ensuring that grazers move along and let it grow back. Every blade of grass is a small, self-contained solution to the problem of surviving in a world of wind and drought and being eaten. Grasses communicate. When one grass plant is under stress, it releases chemicals into the air, a kind of scent that neighboring plants can detect and respond to, toughening their leaves slightly, becoming a little less appealing to whatever is chewing on them. The meadow thinks together in a slow and fragrant way. The great grasslands of the world, the Serengeti, the North American prairies, the steppes of Central Asia, the pampas of South America, have been some of the most biologically rich places on Earth for millions of years. They are full of insects, of burrowing animals, of birds that nest on the ground, and birds that hunt from the sky. A healthy grassland is never quiet. Even on a still night, if you lie down in tall grass and simply listen, you will hear the constant soft work of the living world happening around you. Crickets, katydids, the distant call of an owl, the rustle of something small moving through the stems, the grass itself making tiny sounds as it sways. In the future, As the world warms in some places and cools in others, grasses will continue to do what they do best: move in, establish, hold the ground, and invite others to join them. Where forests have been cleared, grasses often come first, holding the soil steady, preparing it for what comes next. They are generous pioneers, as patient as anything alive. One of the most extraordinary grasses on earth is bamboo. Technically a grass, it can grow faster than almost any other plant. Some species add nearly a meter of height in a single day during their growing season. A bamboo forest is one of the most peaceful places you can imagine. Green light filtering through dense vertical stems, the air cool and still, the sound of the wind producing a soft, hollow clapping as the stems touch one another. Giant pandas evolved almost entirely around bamboo. Their digestive systems, their daily habits, their whole unhurried way of moving through the world, all shaped by this one extraordinary grass. A panda spends most of its day eating bamboo and resting. That is almost the entirety of the panda's ambition, and there is something genuinely wonderful about that. If you are enjoying this story, a like on the video goes such a long way. It helps this channel reach more people who need a little peace tonight. Flowers began as grasses' cousins, the angiosperms, the flowering plants, arriving in the fossil record about 130 million years ago. Before flowers, the world was green, but not colorful in that particular way. No roses, no sunflowers, no daisies nodding in a breeze. And then, in what geologists call a surprisingly short time, flowers exploded into the world in thousands of forms, each one a slightly different answer to the question of how to attract a pollinator, how to spread pollen, how to make a seed that will find good soil. The future will have flowers we cannot imagine yet. Evolution does not stop. Each generation of flower is a tiny experiment, slightly different colors, slightly different shapes, and whichever ones succeed in attracting the right bee or butterfly or hummingbird will pass their shapes and colors on. In millions of years, there will be flowers that no human eye has ever seen, in colors no human has ever named, beautiful in ways we simply cannot picture tonight. For now, imagine a single wildflower meadow in the late afternoon light. Daisies and clover and something purple-blue, whose name you do not quite remember, but whose color is exactly right. Bees are moving from flower to flower, unhurried, steady, gathering what they need. The light is golden and slightly sideways. The air smells of warm earth and something sweet. You feel no urgency at all. There is nowhere you need to be except exactly here. Breathe that in, slowly. Let it settle. The meadow will still be meadow tomorrow and the day after, and in 100 years, it will be meadow again. Perhaps with slightly different flowers, perhaps with one new species that has wandered in from a warmer climate, but meadow still, full of bees and light and that exact golden late afternoon feeling. That is the future, right here in the feeling of a meadow at dusk. Mountains are among the oldest and most patient things on earth. The process that makes a mountain is called orogeny, the slow grinding collision of tectonic plates, vast sections of the Earth's crust pressing into each other with unimaginable force, crumpling the land upward the way a tablecloth wrinkles when you push it from both sides. The Himalayas, the tallest mountains on Earth, are still rising. Every year, They grow a tiny bit taller, a few millimeters, as the Indian subcontinent continues its long, slow slide northward into Asia. It has been doing this for about 50 million years. You can hold a piece of the Himalayas in your hand if you pick up a certain kind of limestone from those mountains. Inside it, you will sometimes find fossils of sea creatures, tiny shells, traces of coral, because those rocks were once the floor of a shallow sea called the Tethys. The mountains are made of ancient ocean lifted up into the sky. The future holds new mountains. Not yet. Not for millions of years, but the plates are moving right now, tonight, as slowly and steadily as they always have. East Africa is splitting apart along the Great Rift Valley, and one day, 50 or 60 million years from now, a new ocean will open there, and the eastern part of Africa will become a separate island continent. New volcanic islands will emerge along the rift. New mountains will form where plates collide. The world is not finished making itself. On a still night in the mountains, the silence is the kind you can feel against your skin. It is not empty. It is full of very small sounds. The tick of rock contracting in the cold, the distant sound of water moving through stone deep underground, the wind picking up for just a moment at the ridgeline above, then falling back to stillness. The mountains breathe at a pace so slow that a human lifetime feels like a single breath. Mountain glaciers are rivers of ice that move downhill so slowly they seem still, but are not. Inside a glacier, the ice crystals are constantly rearranging themselves under pressure, flowing in the way that glass flows, almost imperceptibly slowly, but flowing nonetheless. A glacier grinds everything it touches. Over thousands of years, a glacier can carve a U-shaped valley from solid granite, round the edges of mountains into smooth curves, deposit boulders the size of houses in places where there is no other rock for miles. The largest glacier on Earth right now is the Lambert Glacier in Antarctica, nearly 500 kilometers long, flowing to the sea at a pace of perhaps a meter per day. It has been flowing for millions of years. Below it, Antarctica holds mountains buried under ice kilometers thick, mountains that no one has ever seen, that exist in complete, perfect darkness, waiting. The stones that glaciers leave behind have their own beauty. Glacial erratics are boulders dropped by glaciers far from their origins. You might find a granite boulder sitting on limestone, having traveled hundreds of miles in ice. Some erratics are the size of houses. They simply sit in the landscape, patient and enormous, with no obvious explanation for why they are there, unless you know to look for the ice that was once there too. You might like to leave a comment with your favorite mountain or landscape. It is such a joy to hear from people who love the natural world. Volcanoes are the Earth's way of breathing from the inside out. The mantle, the deep, hot layer beneath the crust, is in slow, constant motion, carrying heat from the planet's interior outward. Where that heat breaks through, where a weakness in the crust allows magma to rise, a volcano forms. And the lava that flows from a volcano, the ash that settles on the land afterward, is some of the most fertile material on Earth. Ancient volcanic soils grow extraordinary things. The vineyards of Santorini, the coffee plantations on the slopes of Kilimanjaro, the rice paddies that ring the volcanoes of Bali. All of these are nourished by minerals that came from deep inside the earth. brought up by volcanic activity over thousands of years. The same eruptions that once seemed frightening to early humans were also the slow creation of some of the most beautiful and productive landscapes on the planet. In the future, new islands will emerge from the sea where submarine volcanoes build themselves up from the ocean floor. It has already happened in our lifetimes. A new island emerged near Tonga in 2022, just a small bare mound of ash and rock at first. Within months, it had begun to receive its first visitors, birds, seeds carried on the wind, the very first insects. The process of life arriving on bare volcanic rock and slowly turning it into living land has been happening on this planet for billions of years. Life is always looking for somewhere new to be. Rest your attention on a mountain stream tonight. It is cold and fast and perfectly clear. You can see every stone at the bottom, the gray and green and brown of the river stones, polished smooth over centuries of water running over them. The water sounds exactly the way it always has, the way it sounded before any human was there to hear it, the way it will sound long after tonight. It is one of the most honest sounds in the world. The sun is the source of almost everything. Every leaf, every flower, every blade of grass, every fruit and seed and root, all of it exists because a star 93 million miles away is burning hydrogen into helium and sending the energy of that transformation out in all directions. And some small fraction of it falls each day onto the surface of this turning planet. The sun is about 4.5 billion years old. It is, astronomically speaking, a middle-aged star, calm, steady, reliable. It will continue to shine in very much its current way for another 5 billion years or so. On the scale of human life, the sun's light is something you can count on absolutely. It has never missed a morning. It has never sent too little light for a plant to grow. It is one of the great constants. In the future, the very far future, further than any mind can comfortably imagine, the sun will change. It will grow gradually warmer and brighter, and in perhaps 1 billion years, that extra warmth will begin to matter to the Earth's surface. The oceans may eventually begin to evaporate. The planet will transform into something very different from what it is tonight. But that is 1 billion years from now. In the scale of what you can actually feel, the sun will be there tomorrow morning, painting the sky pink and then gold, warming the stones on the path, sending light slanting through the leaves of trees that have been waiting all night for it. Feel the warmth of even the idea of that. Sunrises are different from sunsets in a way that is difficult to describe, but easy to feel. Morning light has a quality of freshness. It catches the dew on the grass. It makes spider webs appear as if woven from silver. It finds the world still quiet and unhurried. The air at sunrise carries the smell of night lifting away, something cool and green and new. Birds begin in the dark before sunrise. The dawn chorus starts almost an hour before the sun appears, when only the faintest lightening of the sky is visible. The first bird to sing is usually the robin in England, the wood thrush in America, the magpie robin in parts of Asia. Each bird calls and waits for the calls of others, and gradually the full chorus builds into something so layered and beautiful that even people who usually sleep through sunrise will stop when they happen to hear it and simply listen. That chorus has been happening every morning for millions of years. The individual songs change as species evolve, as new birds arrive and old ones move on. But the pattern, the early riser, the hesitant chorus, the full burst of song as light fills the world, that pattern is ancient and deep. Feel free to check out the playlist. There is a whole collection of peaceful stories there, each one a gentle doorway into the natural world. The sun also makes the wind. Temperature differences across the planet's surface, land warming faster than sea, mountains cooling faster than valleys, create pressure differences, and air moves from high pressure to low, which is what wind is. The trade winds that once carried sailing ships around the world are driven by the sun's uneven heating of the equatorial regions. The monsoons of Asia and Africa are the sun and ocean working together to pull moisture inland and drop it as rain over landscapes that depend on it completely. Every gust of wind you have ever felt, every gentle breeze that has moved your hair, was made by sunlight landing on the earth at an angle. On a warm afternoon, when the light is high and the shadows are short, and the world seems to hum with a kind of quiet industry, stop for a moment and look at the light on something simple. A stone, a patch of grass, the side of a building. The light has traveled 8 minutes to reach you, moving at the fastest speed anything in the universe can move, crossing empty space and then entering the atmosphere and scattering through it to arrive soft and golden on whatever you are looking at. That stone has been in that light for a very long time and will be for a very long time to come. The future of sunlight is simply more sunlight, morning after morning, each one slightly different, because the Earth's tilt and orbit make the angle of sunrise shift through the seasons, because the clouds are never quite the same twice, because the air holds different amounts of moisture and dust on different days. You will never see exactly the same sunrise twice. That is not a sad thing. It is one of the most generous things about the sun. Its daily faithfulness combined with its endless variety. Imagine a single ray of light making its way through the leaves of a tall tree just as the sun clears the horizon. It arrives as a column of light in which you can see the dust floating. Not dirty dust, but the fine particles of pollen and bark and dried leaf that are always in the air in a forest. Each one lit up like a tiny star, moving very slowly in the warmth of the beam. That is the beginning of another day. It will unfold exactly as gently as this story. And then the light will shift to afternoon, and then to the long gold of evening, and then the world will cool and soften, and night will arrive, quiet and full of stars, as it always has, as it always will. The night sky is very old. Most of the stars you can see on a clear night have been there for billions of years. Some of the light arriving in your eyes tonight left its source before the earth even existed. You're looking at the past every time you look up. Near past for nearby stars, and deep past for the ones that are farther away, because light takes time to cross the distances between stars, and the universe is too large for anything to keep up. On a very dark night, away from city lights, you can see the Milky Way, the faint, dense band of our own galaxy seen edge on, a river of light stretching across the sky. Every point of light in that band is a star, and there are 200 billion stars in our galaxy, and the galaxy is 100,000 light years across. These are numbers that are too large to feel, but you can feel the Milky Way even if you cannot process its size. It fills something in you that needs filling. It reminds you that the sky is not a ceiling, but a depth, and that you are a part of something enormously old and wide. In the future, the constellations will change. The stars are not fixed in space. They are all moving slowly in different directions, on scales of hundreds of thousands of years. The Big Dipper that your grandmother knew is slightly different from the one her grandmother knew. And in 50,000 years, it will look different enough that you would not quite recognize it. The stars drift apart like very slow friends, each following its own path through the galaxy. In perhaps 4 billion years, our galaxy will merge with the Andromeda Galaxy, which is currently moving toward us at about 110 kilometers per second. It sounds vast, but it is gentle. Galaxies are mostly empty space, and when they merge, it is more like two clouds passing through each other, a slow and beautiful process that will take hundreds of millions of years to complete. The sky, to whatever is alive on Earth then, will be spectacular, full of the glow of new stars being born in the swirls of merging gas and dust. Let your eyes close for a moment if they want to. The stars will still be there when you open them. Comets visit the inner solar system from the cold, dark outer regions of space, where billions of icy bodies orbit the sun in a vast cloud called the Oort cloud. When one is nudged by gravity onto a path towards the sun, it falls inward over decades or centuries. And as it nears the sun, the ice begins to warm and release gas and dust, streaming behind it in a tail that can stretch for millions of kilometers. A bright comet, visible to the naked eye, is one of the most quietly stunning things a human being can see in a clear sky. A soft smear of light, moving so slowly you can only notice it has moved if you look away and look back again. People have been watching comets for as long as people have existed. Now we know what they are: icy travelers from the cold dark, carrying carbon and sometimes amino acids, the building blocks of life, the same building blocks that helped seed life on the early Earth. Some scientists believe that comets may have brought water to the early Earth, and possibly the organic molecules that eventually became the first living cells. You may be made in some small part of comet. If you have found this a peaceful space to visit, a like or comment below would be lovely. Your small gesture helps more quiet souls find their way here. The moon tonight is doing what it always does, reflecting sunlight from its ancient dusty surface down onto the ocean and the fields and the rooftops. The moon has no atmosphere, no weather, no wind. Nothing changes on the moon on a human timescale. The footprints left by the astronauts who visited it in the 1960s and 70s are still there, perfectly preserved. They will remain for millions of years, slowly smoothed by the micrometeorites that constantly pepper the lunar surface, but present for a very long time to come. The moon's gravity keeps the Earth's tilt stable. Without the moon, the Earth might wobble on its axis over millions of years, tilting dramatically and changing the seasons in ways that would make the climate far less predictable. The moon has been a kind of quiet anchor for billions of years, steadying the planet's rhythms, keeping the seasons gentle and reliable, pulling the tides, and in doing so, stirring the oceans in ways that help distribute heat and nutrients through the sea. Look at the moon tonight if you can. However much of it is lit, it is serene and constant and very beautiful. It has seen everything this planet has been through. It was there at the beginning. It will be there in the future, a little further away, a little smaller in the sky, but still faithfully reflecting the light of the sun down onto whatever beautiful world exists below it. That thought is a very peaceful one to fall asleep with. Rivers have always known where they are going. A river begins as rainfall, water hitting a hillside, trickling into a groove, that groove becoming a rivulet, the rivulet finding other rivulets, and before long there is a stream, and the stream finds the path of least resistance down through the landscape, around obstacles, over rock, through soil, gathering itself as it goes. A river is not a static thing. It is a process, continuously moving, continuously reshaping itself, wearing away one bank and building up another, carrying sediment from the mountains and depositing it on the plains and eventually in the sea. The Amazon River carries so much water that when it meets the Atlantic Ocean, fresh water can be detected more than 200 kilometers out to sea. The Amazon's drainage basin, the vast area of land that its rain feeds, covers roughly 30% of the South American continent. The forest that grows there is the largest tropical rainforest on Earth, breathing in and out at a scale that affects the weather across an entire hemisphere. Rainforest mornings have a quality unlike anywhere else on Earth. The canopy above is dense and layered, not one ceiling, but many, each layer catching different amounts of light, each one home to different creatures. In the canopy, far above the forest floor, there are orchids growing directly on tree branches, their roots in open air, absorbing moisture from the mist. There are bromeliads, plants that hold water in a cup formed by their leaves. And in each little cup, there is a tiny ecosystem. Mosquito larvae, small frogs, beetle grubs, all living in a pool no larger than a teacup. The forest floor receives almost no direct sunlight. What reaches it has filtered through layer after layer of leaves, arriving as a soft, scattered green glow. On the floor, decomposition happens at an extraordinary pace. A fallen leaf can be completely broken down in 6 weeks by fungi and bacteria and invertebrates working together in the warmth and humidity. The forest is continuously recycling itself, nutrients moving in loops so tight and efficient that very little is ever truly lost. The future of rainforests, like the future of all forests, is written in seeds. Rainforest trees can produce seeds of extraordinary variety, some winged to spin away on the wind, some armored to survive the digestive systems of fruit-eating animals who carry them far from the parent tree, some waterborne, carried by rivers to new ground, some that simply fall and bury themselves in the soft, deep litter of the forest floor. Every strategy is a different answer to the same question. How do I find somewhere new to grow? Do take a look at the channel's full playlist when you get a chance. There are so many gentle stories there, each one designed to help you slow down and rest. Where rivers slow down in their lower reaches before they meet the sea, they spread out into deltas and wetlands. A river delta is a place of extraordinary abundance. The sediment the river has carried from hundreds of miles inland is deposited here, rich with minerals, soft and deep. Grasses and reeds and mangroves take root in it. Birds arrive in the thousands. Fish come to spawn in the protected shallows. the Nile Delta, the Mekong Delta, the Mississippi Delta. These are among the most life-rich places on the planet. Mangroves are one of the most remarkable trees on Earth. They grow in salt water, which should be impossible for most trees, but mangroves have evolved a system for filtering salt out of the water they absorb, excreting it through their leaves in tiny white crystals. Their roots grow above the waterline in extraordinary tangles, the aerial roots breathing through specialized pores and bark that would otherwise be submerged. A mangrove forest at low tide is a cathedral of roots, everyone hosting barnacles and oysters and tiny crabs, every root a small world. Mangroves are also one of the most effective stores of carbon on Earth. A hectare of mangrove forest stores up to 5 times more carbon than a typical tropical forest, locking it away in the deep, oxygen-poor soil where decomposition is so slow that carbon can be stored for thousands of years. They are the quiet, unassuming guardians of the coast. Tonight, imagine a river in the evening light. The water is slow here, moving in wide curves. On one bank, willows hang their long fingers into the water. The surface is almost perfectly still in the center, with just a gentle dimpling from the current below. A heron stands at the edge, absolutely motionless, 1 foot raised, its long neck folded back, its golden eye watching the water with a patience that makes you want to practice the same. Nothing happens for a long, still moment. And then, so quick you almost miss it, the heron's neck unfolds and its beak enters the water and comes back up with something small and silver. It tilts its head back, works the catch down, and then is still again, as if nothing happened at all, as if it will stand there for the rest of time. It might. Rain has a smell. The word for it is petrichor, the scent of rain on dry earth, and it comes from oils released by plants and bacteria that have been waiting in the soil, released when the first drops disturb the ground. It is one of the most universally loved smells in the world, recognized across cultures, associated everywhere with relief and refreshment and the particular comfort of a change in the air. Rain is not silent. It is one of the most layered and complex of all natural sounds. The hard tap on leaves, the soft drum on soil, the hollow sound on water, the drip from eaves, the rush in gutters, the deeper sound of heavy rain on a wooden roof. Each surface makes a different sound, and together they make something so varied and rich that it covers all other sounds and creates a kind of privacy in the world, a soft enclosure that makes inside feel more inside and outside feel more outside. In the future, rainfall patterns will shift. Some places that are currently dry will receive more rain, and some that are currently wet will receive less. This is not new. The pattern of rain across the earth has changed many times in its history. The Sahara, today one of the driest places on earth, was a grassland dotted with lakes 10,000 years ago. Hippos and crocodiles lived where there is now only sand. The pattern changed slowly over centuries as the Earth's wobble on its axis shifted the monsoon rains southward. The Green Sahara will likely return. Every 26,000 years or so, the cycle of Earth's orbit brings the conditions that allow the rains to return to North Africa. The next Green Sahara is still thousands of years away, but it is coming. Already written into the mathematics of the planet's motion, already waiting. Imagine that future Sahara, green and wet and full of sound, rivers running where now there is only stone. acacia trees dotting the horizon. At the edge of one of the new lakes, a flamingo standing in the pink-lit shallows of an African evening, its curved neck bent to the water, utterly comfortable in a landscape that right now is the driest place on earth. The beauty of that is that it requires nothing from us. It is already in motion, already the slow plan of the planet's own physics. A kind comment below would genuinely make someone's evening. Feel free to share whatever comes to mind. Clouds are made of water droplets so small that they float on air. A single cloud can contain millions of metric tons of water, yet it floats because each individual droplet is tiny enough to remain suspended. Clouds are not the same cloud from one minute to the next. They are continuously evaporating at their edges and forming at their centers, the shape shifting even when the cloud appears to be still. Cumulus clouds, the big puffy white ones, grow from the bottom up. Warm, moist air rises from the ground, and when it reaches a certain altitude and cools to its dew point, the water vapor condenses into droplets, and the cloud appears, building upward like a slow, white tower. On a sunny afternoon, you can watch a cumulus cloud grow, the top billowing upward, while the base stays flat and level at the condensation height. Clouds are beautiful from above as much as from below. From an airplane, you can sometimes see them spread out in all directions like a white landscape, a country of cloud, lit from above, so that every peak and valley casts a shadow, and the whole surface looks like a field of soft hills or the surface of a frozen sea. If you could walk on it, it would feel like nothing. Your feet would find no resistance. You would simply fall through. Fog is cloud at ground level, and walking through fog is a different experience entirely. The world becomes very close. Sound is muffled. Trees appear suddenly a few feet away, and then dissolve again as you pass. Each tree is hung with tiny water droplets on every surface. The droplets are too small to see individually, but together they make the bark glow with a damp, dark sheen, and every spider web in the forest becomes visible, hung with 1,000 beads of water, shining. A foggy morning clears slowly. First, the fog thins, and then there are gaps, and then shafts of light begin to move through the trees, and then suddenly the sun is there, and the fog is burning off, and the world is bright, and steam is rising from the wet ground, and every leaf is luminous with the water still on it. That transition from fog to brightness takes about an hour, and it is one of the most quietly cinematic things that happens in the natural world. Tonight, let yourself be in the fog for a while. Let the world be very close and very soft. Every edge softened, every sound quieted, everything a little dreamlike and gentle. The clearing will come when it comes. For now, just be here in the soft gray, comfortable and unhurried, breathing the cool, damp air, hearing your own footsteps very clearly on the path beneath you. Birds are the direct descendants of dinosaurs. Not metaphorically, not loosely. Birds are dinosaurs, taxonomically. They are the last surviving lineage of the great group called avian theropods, and they have been alive in their current form for roughly 66 million years. When the asteroid hit the Earth at the end of the Cretaceous period, it caused a mass extinction that ended the non-avian dinosaurs. But a small group of feathered flying theropods survived, and from them came every bird alive today. every sparrow and eagle and hummingbird and penguin. A hummingbird beats its wings about 70 times per second. You cannot see those wing beats individually. They are too fast. What you see is the hummingbird suspended in the air as if held there by invisible strings, hovering perfectly still while it feeds from a flower, then shooting sideways in an instant to the next bloom. Hummingbirds are the only birds that can fly backwards. Their hearts beat 1,200 times per minute when in flight. At night, when the air cools and food is unavailable, many hummingbirds enter a state called torpor. Their heart rate drops to as low as 50 beats per minute. Their body temperature drops nearly to the ambient air temperature, and they hang from their perch in a deep, energy-saving sleep that looks almost like death. In the morning, warmed by the sun, they wake up and are immediately fully alive again. There is something about that, the complete willingness to let go, to trust the warmth of morning to bring you back. That feels like something worth remembering when you are trying to fall asleep. The albatross spends most of its life over the open ocean, often not touching land for years at a time. It sleeps on the wing, half its brain resting at a time, riding the updrafts along the face of ocean waves in a flight technique called dynamic soaring, swooping down toward the waves, catching the wind at the surface, soaring back up without flapping, covering thousands of miles with almost no effort. An albatross has been tracked flying around the world continuously in 46 days. The oldest known wild bird is a Laysan albatross named Wisdom, who was first banded by scientists in 1956 when she was already a breeding adult, meaning she is at least 73 years old. She still returns to Midway Atoll to breed each year, flying in from the open ocean to lay her single egg, raise her chick, and then return to the sea. She has flown in her lifetime, a distance equivalent to traveling to the moon and back several times. Do check out the rest of the playlist. Each story there is its own gentle journey waiting for you whenever you need it. Swallows are among the great travelers of the bird world. The barn swallow, that elegant blue-black bird with the forked tail, breeds in Europe and North America and spends its winters in sub-Saharan Africa and South America. Every year it makes a round trip of up to 20,000 kilometers. It navigates using the stars, the Earth's magnetic field, the position of the sun, and landmarks it has memorized. It returns to exactly the same barn, the same mud nest, the same river bend year after year. The instinct that sends a swallow south in autumn, the restlessness that builds in its body as the days shorten, the irresistible pull toward warmth, is called Zugunruhe in German, meaning migratory restlessness. Even a caged bird that has never migrated will face south in autumn and flutter its wings, driven by the same ancient calendar that ticks inside every migratory bird. In the future, migratory routes will shift. Some birds are already adjusting, leaving a little later in autumn, arriving a little earlier in spring. The routes themselves will change as the landscapes beneath them change, as new stopover sites appear and old ones shift. But the swallows will still fly. They have been flying these great journeys for millions of years through every climate the earth has offered, and they will find a way to keep flying. Tonight, imagine a summer evening in a meadow. The sky above is still bright, a pale blue, and against it you can see swallows. perhaps a dozen of them, working low over the grass, catching insects so small you cannot see them from here. The swallows turn and bank and fold and open with an ease that looks like joy. Their calls are quick and bright, cutting through the warm air. They will be gone by October. They will be back in April. They always come back. Feel yourself settle into that, the sureness of return, the rhythm of leaving and coming back, the way every migration is also a homecoming. Let that thought be the last thing you carry with you as you begin to drift. Insects are the majority of animal life on Earth. There are more species of beetle alone than there are species of all vertebrates combined. More than 400,000 species of beetle have been described by science, and scientists suspect there are hundreds of thousands more not yet named. Beetles live in every habitat on Earth, in the Arctic, in the deepest forests, in deserts, in rivers, inside the wood of trees, in the soil, in the fur of mammals. They have been on the planet for 300 million years, predating the dinosaurs by a long way. When the biologist J.B.S. Haldane was asked what could be inferred about the mind of the Creator from studying nature, he reportedly said that the Creator must have had an inordinate fondness for beetles. It is one of the most quoted lines in all of natural history, and it is very funny and also very true. A bumblebee flies according to aerodynamic principles that for a long time scientists struggled to explain. The bee's wings are small for its body, and by strict fixed-wing aerodynamics, it should not be able to generate enough lift. What it actually does is move its wings in a rapid, asymmetric figure eight that generates small vortices of air above the wing surface, and these vortices create lift. It is not the same as how a plane flies. It is more like how nothing else flies, because the bee invented its own approach. Bumblebees are warm-blooded. They can fly in cold weather that would ground other insects by shivering their flight muscles to generate heat before takeoff. On cold mornings, you may see a bumblebee sitting on a flower, vibrating slightly, warming up before it can move on. It takes a moment to prepare, and then it is ready, and then it rises. The future of insects is rich and inventive. Life at the insect scale has always found ways to persist. After each of the great extinctions in Earth's history, insects rebounded faster than most groups, repopulating the world and driving the recovery of ecosystems that needed pollinators and decomposers and soil turners. They are among the most essential and resilient forms of life on Earth. A kind word in the comments is always welcome. This channel exists because of the people who find their way here and take a moment to connect. Fireflies are one of the most magical insects. Their light is cold, produced by a chemical reaction in their abdomen that generates light without heat, using nearly 100% of the energy in the reaction as light. Scientists call this bioluminescence, but the experience of it, standing in a summer field as the first fireflies begin to glow, one and then another, and then dozens, the light rising and falling in different rhythms, the whole field beginning to pulse and flicker, resists being reduced to chemistry. Different species of firefly have different flash patterns. Males fly and flash. Females watch from the grass and respond with their own flash pattern if they are interested. Each species has its own code, its own timing, its own particular signature of light. In some places in Southeast Asia and the American Smoky Mountains, Fireflies synchronize, whole populations flashing together in unison, the forest pulsing with a single shared rhythm, the coordination emerging from no single source, but from the individual responses of thousands of insects, each reading and responding to their neighbors. Walking into a synchronizing firefly forest on a warm summer night is one of those experiences that people remember for the rest of their lives. Ants are the great engineers of the insect world. A leaf-cutter ant colony contains millions of individuals, all working together without a central brain directing them. They cut leaves and carry them underground, not to eat the leaves, but to cultivate a fungus on them. Ants are farmers among the oldest farmers on Earth, having been growing their fungal gardens for 50 million years. The tunnels of a leaf-cutter ant colony can extend 8 meters underground and contain rooms the size of footballs where the fungus is carefully tended. The ants manage temperature and humidity, remove waste, protect the garden from competing fungi and bacteria. It is agriculture at a complexity that rivals many human farming practices, and it is all accomplished through the distributed intelligence of millions of small, individually simple animals working together. Tonight, somewhere, an ant is carrying something several times its body weight along a path it has walked 10,000 times before. It is not thinking about the future. It does not need to. It is simply doing the next thing and then the next thing, and the colony hums along in the warm darkness, patient and capable and unworried. There is a certain peace in that. The ocean at its deepest is further below the surface than the highest mountain is above it. The Mariana Trench in the western Pacific Ocean reaches a depth of nearly 11 kilometers. The pressure at the bottom is more than 1,000 times the pressure at the surface, enough to crush most equipment humans have ever built. The temperature is just above freezing. There is no light whatsoever. And yet, there is life there, strange, pale, slow-moving creatures that have adapted to conditions that seem, from our sunlit surface perspective, completely impossible. There are sea cucumbers on the Mariana Trench floor, moving slowly through the sediment, eating the particles of organic material that drift down from above. The constant, fine snow of dead organisms and their remains that sinks from the surface of the ocean and is the primary food source for most deep-sea life. That snow, called marine snow, takes weeks to fall from surface to floor. It is one of the most important and least visible processes on Earth, steadily moving carbon from the atmosphere down through the water column into the deep, locking it away in the sediment for thousands of years. The deep ocean is Earth's largest storage cabinet. The Hadal Zone, the deepest parts of the ocean in the trenches, is cold and dark and still. But even there, even at the greatest depths, the sediment is alive. Microbes live in the mud, processing chemicals in the absence of light, running their own chemistry based on hydrogen and methane and sulfur compounds rather than sunlight. These chemosynthetic microbes are ancient. Their kind has been alive since before oxygen existed in the atmosphere, since the very early Earth, when the only life was microbial and the world was hot and strange. They are still here, quietly doing what they have always done, at the bottom of the sea, in the dark. The future deep ocean is something we understand very little, which is itself a kind of wonder. More of the Earth's ocean floor is unmapped than the surface of Mars. We know more about the surface of the moon than we know about our own ocean floor. Every time a deep-sea submersible dives into unexplored territory, it finds things no human eye has ever seen. New species, new formations, new behaviors. The ocean is the last great wilderness on this planet, and it holds more undiscovered life than anywhere else. Please do leave a comment if you are finding this peaceful. It is so lovely to hear from the people who visit this channel late at night. Hydrothermal vents are one of the most extraordinary discoveries in the history of ocean science. Found deep on the ocean floor where the tectonic plates spread apart, they release superheated water rich in minerals from deep inside the earth. Around these vents, despite the complete absence of sunlight, there are thriving ecosystems. Tube worms 3 meters long, white crabs, ghostly fish, shrimp with light-sensitive patches on their backs to detect the faint glow of the vent itself. Everything living at a hydrothermal vent is ultimately fed by chemosynthetic bacteria. Bacteria that use the chemical energy of hydrogen sulfide and other vent emissions the same way surface plants use sunlight. These ecosystems are entirely independent of the sun. They are the only ecosystems on Earth that are. When scientists found them in 1977, it fundamentally changed the definition of the habitable zone for life. Because if life can exist without sunlight in such extreme conditions, it may exist in the cold, dark oceans of other moons and planets, worlds we once assumed were too harsh for anything to live. The deep ocean teaches us, over and over, that life is more adaptable, more creative, more persistent than we imagined. Tonight, imagine the surface of the ocean at night, calm and very dark, starlight on the water, a slight swell, everything moving together in long, slow rhythms. Beneath you, the water is deep and deeper still, and at the very bottom, everything is still and cold and dark and full of quiet life that has never needed the sun. Above you, the stars are sharp and numerous. You are floating at exactly the middle point, held on the surface like a leaf, rocking gently, part of a system far larger than you and far older than you, and you are completely safe. Breathe in. The air smells of salt and distance. Breathe out. Your weight settles into the water. The world is very large and very old, and right now, it is holding you. Stones remember everything. A geologist can read the history of a landscape in the rocks beneath it. The layers tell the story of shallow seas and deep oceans, of volcanic eruptions and continental collisions, of ice ages and tropical periods, of extinctions and recoveries. Every rock face is a page, every stratum a chapter, and the whole story is written in the language of pressure and heat and time. Limestone is made from the shells and skeletons of marine creatures, corals, mollusks, foraminifera, compressed and cemented over millions of years into solid rock. When you stand on limestone, you are standing on the remains of ancient oceans, on the bodies of creatures that lived and died before the first dinosaur drew breath. The white cliffs of Dover are made of chalk, which is a form of limestone made almost entirely from the shells of microscopic plankton. Billions and billions of tiny organisms that lived and died in a warm, shallow sea that covered southern England 66 million years ago. Granite is stone made from cooled magma, molten rock that rose from depth and solidified slowly, giving the crystals time to grow large. The pink and gray and black flecks you can see in granite are the individual crystals of different minerals: feldspar, quartz, mica. They grew in the dark, deep underground over millions of years, cooling so slowly that the crystals had time to become visible to the naked eye. The oldest rock on Earth, the Acosta gneiss in Canada, is 4 billion years old. It formed when the Earth was barely 500 million years old, when the surface was still largely molten, when the atmosphere had no oxygen, when the oceans were full of dissolved iron that turned the water a faint reddish brown. Holding a piece of it is holding something almost as old as the planet itself. In the future, the rocks being made today, the sediments settling in river deltas, the lava hardening on the ocean floor, the shells drifting down through the water, will become the rocks that some future geologist, or some entity we cannot imagine, will hold in their hands and read. They will find this moment, our moment, written in the chemical composition of the rock, in the isotopes, in the fossil record. We are currently living inside the chapter that will one day be read. That is a strange and peaceful thought. A kind comment or a like means the world to this channel. Knowing that these stories reach people who need them is the whole point of being here. Crystals form when minerals grow in solutions or melts under the right conditions of temperature and pressure. A cave full of giant gypsum crystals, like the Cave of Crystals in Mexico, where crystals grow up to 11 meters long, is one of the most otherworldly places on Earth. The crystals are transparent and milky white, sharp-edged, massive, completely silent. They have been growing for 500,000 years in water saturated with mineral-rich fluid, adding their molecular layers one at a time, slowly, in total darkness. Quartz is one of the most common minerals on Earth and one of the most beautiful. In its pure crystalline form, it is perfectly clear, harder than steel. Its surface is so flat and regular that it diffracts light into tiny rainbows at the right angle. The sand on most beaches is made of quartz grains. The durable remnant of mountains long eroded, tumbled in rivers and waves until they are rounded and smooth, each grain a story of immense distance traveled. When you run sand through your fingers on a beach, you are holding the granular remains of mountains. The stones in a river have been on a journey. They began as fragments of bedrock broken off by frost and gravity, sharp-edged and angular. The river has been working on them ever since, rolling them against each other and against the riverbed, smoothing their edges, rounding them, wearing them smaller with each year. The further downstream you are, the smaller and smoother the stones. By the time they reach the sea, some of them will be sand. A river stone in your hand, the smooth, oval weight of it, warm from the sun if you have been sitting in the light, cool and slightly damp if you have just picked it from the water, is one of the most comforting objects in the natural world. Something about the weight and the smoothness and the temperature is deeply settling. Many people instinctively pick up river stones and keep them, carry them in pockets, set them on window sills. The stone does not mind. It is patient, far beyond anything we can practice. Tonight, hold the idea of a smooth stone in your mind. Feel the weight of it. Feel the smoothness. Let it be heavy and cool and solid in your hand, and let your hand relax around it. The stone has been on a very long journey to reach you. So have you. Wind is the most invisible of the great forces of nature. You cannot see it, only its effects, the grass bending in waves, the leaves turning to show their pale undersides before rain, the surface of a lake roughening into small, sharp ridges, the smoke from a distant fire leaning sideways, the clouds casting their moving shadows across the land. Wind announces itself in sounds, the soft rush through long grass, the higher note through pine needles, the hollow whistle around the edge of a building, the deep boom when a great gust moves through old trees. In the Beaufort scale, the system sailors have used for 2 centuries to describe wind, force 0 is dead calm. Smoke rises vertically. The sea is like a mirror. Force 3 is a gentle breeze, leaves and small twigs in constant motion, small wavelets on the sea. Force 12 is hurricane force. The air is full of foam and spray, visibility near 0. Most people spend most of their lives somewhere between force 1 and force 4, in the range where the wind is something you lean into slightly on a walk, something that makes you grateful for a collar or a hat, something that carries the smell of what is upwind, the sea, a bakery, fresh-cut grass, rain. Wind has made some of the most extraordinary landscapes on Earth. The sandstone arches and hoodoos of the American Southwest were carved by wind and water over millions of years. The soft rock wearing away faster, the hard rock remaining, creating shapes so improbable they look like something imagined. Delicate Arch in Utah stands 46 feet high on a sloping rock fin, and it has been standing for 60,000 years, which is ancient by human standards, but a moment in geological time. In another million years, it will be gone, and some new feature will be in its place, and that too will be beautiful. The Gobi Desert in Central Asia is home to singing sand dunes, dunes so large and dry that when wind moves the sand, the grains vibrate against each other and create a sound like a deep, sustained hum, sometimes loud enough to be heard from kilometers away. Travelers for centuries reported the phenomenon and could not explain it. Now it is understood, but understanding it does not make it less extraordinary. A landscape that sings in its own low, patient register when the wind decides to move it. This playlist has so many more stories like this one. Please do explore it when you are ready, and take one peaceful journey at a time. Trees have a relationship with wind that goes far deeper than simply being blown by it. Wind pollinates most of the world's conifers and many of its hardwoods. The oak, the birch, the hazel, the ash. These trees release their pollen in vast quantities, clouds of it so thick they can be seen from a distance as a greenish-yellow haze, trusting the wind to carry them to another tree. It is an extravagant, generous strategy, releasing millions of pollen grains for each one that will land successfully. But it works, and it has been working since before flowering plants evolved. Young trees in windy locations actually grow stronger and more flexible wood than trees in sheltered spots. The mechanical stress of being moved by the wind triggers the tree to lay down more tissue in the direction of the prevailing force, building resistance to it. A tree on a clifftop, constantly shaped by the wind, develops a particular silhouette, low, spreading, asymmetrical, every branch pointing away from the direction the wind most often comes from. Those wind-swept trees are among the most beautiful in the world, their whole life story written in their shape. On very calm days in forests, The silence is so complete that you can hear your own heartbeat. And on very still nights, the air in a valley sinks. Cold air, being denser, flows downhill and pools in the low places, the hollows and meadows. This is called a cold air drainage event, and it is why the lowest fields in a valley are often the coldest at night, and sometimes have frost when the hillsides above are frost-free. The cold settles in and lies there still, and the mist rises from it before dawn like something very slow waking up. In that stillness, the night sounds are the only sound. A fox calling from the far side of the valley, the soft call of an owl. Your own breathing, the smallest sounds of the settling world. Breathe with it. Let the stillness come in. The wind will return in the morning. And for now, the air is perfectly still, and the night is wrapped around everything like something very warm and very old. The seasons are the Earth's own breathing. In spring, the planet's northern hemisphere tilts toward the sun, and the angle of light sharpens, and the days lengthen, and every living thing that has been waiting feels the change. It is not a sharp change. It happens incrementally, the light gaining minutes each day. But life tracks it precisely. The day length is one of the most reliable signals in the natural world, more reliable than temperature, more reliable than rainfall, and almost everything that times its activity to the seasons is using the changing length of day as its clock. The earliest spring flowers in northern regions come before the snow is fully gone. Snowdrops push up through frozen ground in January and February in England, their green tips appearing at the edge of snowfields, their white flowers hanging like small bells, their bulbs having calculated the arrival of spring with an accuracy that humans could not better even with instruments. After snowdrops come crocuses, then primroses, then bluebells, each species calibrated to appear at the right moment, not too early for frost to kill them, not too late to miss the best light before the canopy closes above them. A bluebell wood in late April is one of the most purely beautiful places you can be in the world. The blue is not quite like any other blue. It is blue-purple-violet, something in between, soft and slightly smoky, the whole forest floor carpeted in it, the light coming down green through the new leaves, the smell sweet and faintly wild. In England, they call it the blue haze, and it arrives for only 2 or 3 weeks each year before the bluebells go over, and then it is gone for another year. The future will have those springs. Spring comes back. Autumn is a different kind of beauty, a slower, warmer, heavier beauty, full of the particular satisfaction of things coming to completion. The leaves of deciduous trees contain more than just chlorophyll. They also contain yellow and orange pigments that are there all summer, but hidden by the green of the chlorophyll. In autumn, as the tree withdraws the chlorophyll from the leaf in preparation for dropping it, those hidden colors are revealed. The reds and purples are different. They are pigments actively produced in autumn, more vivid in years with cold nights and bright days. The best autumn colors come after warm, sunny days and cold, clear nights, and they can be so intense that people travel hundreds of miles specifically to see them. The New England foliage season, the Japanese koyo, the golden birch forests of Scandinavia. A hillside of mixed deciduous trees in October, caught in afternoon light, can stop a person in the middle of a walk and hold them there for several minutes, not thinking, just seeing. A like or comment below is always appreciated. It helps these stories reach people who might really need them tonight. Winter is the season that asks for stillness. The deciduous trees stand bare, and through their branches you can see sky that in summer was hidden. The world seems larger in winter, more open, more honest about its bones and its architecture. Snow, when it comes, changes everything. Sound is different, absorbed rather than reflected. Every landscape suddenly quieter. Light is different, reflected back from white surfaces so that the world seems brighter even in the middle of the day. And at dusk, the snow gives back the last light for longer than bare ground would. Under the snow, the soil is insulated. The ground does not freeze as deeply under a blanket of snow as it does in an open, snowless winter. Mice and voles move through tunnels at the snow-soil interface in the zone called the subnivean space, a tiny world that is warmer than the air above it, out of the wind, lit only by the diffuse bluish light that filters through the snow. For many small mammals, a snowy winter is safer than a cold, dry, bare winter. In spring, that snowmelt arrives gradually in the soil. Each freeze-thaw cycle at the surface works soil particles apart, creating channels through which water can move, making the soil more porous and receptive. The first warm days after winter are felt in the soil. The bacteria and fungi that have been dormant begin to revive, and the soil warms from above, and the whole underground community begins to wake up. The future will have winters, different winters, perhaps less snow in some places, more in others, but winters still, the long seasonal breath, the earth pulling in before the long exhale of spring. Tonight, feel the season you're in right now as a breath. If it is cold, the world is resting. If it is warm, the world is awake and busy. If it is somewhere in between, the world is turning. All of those are right. All of those are exactly as they should be. Rest with the season. Be exactly where the earth is tonight. The future of earth is already being written in small things. In the oak gall that hangs on a winter branch, a smooth brown sphere made by a tiny wasp, the tree's response to her laying eggs, the gall itself, the perfect nursery her offspring need. The whole arrangement so specific and so old that oak galls appear in the fossil record 60 million years ago. The future is in that gall, in the careful, patient language between a tree and an insect, an arrangement that predates humans and will outlast us. One of the quiet conversations that the living world holds with itself continuously. It is in the mycelium. Fungi are among the largest and oldest organisms on Earth. The largest known organism on the planet is a honey fungus in Oregon. Its body, underground, covers almost 9 square kilometers and is estimated to be between 2,000 and 8,000 years old. You can walk over it and never know it is there. It lives in the roots of trees, sometimes parasitically, sometimes in a relationship of mutual benefit, sometimes in arrangements so complex that scientists are still working out the terms. In the future, fungi will continue doing what they have always done, decomposing the dead, feeding the living, connecting the forest. They were the first complex organisms to colonize land, arriving before plants, preparing the soil and the rock surfaces for everything that came after. When life on Earth eventually recovers from whatever challenges the future holds, it will be partly because fungi are already there, already working, already making the conditions for something new. The future is in the tide pools. A tide pool is a little universe left behind when the ocean retreats. Each one is bounded by rock and full of life that has learned to endure the daily rhythm of immersion and exposure. Sea stars, hermit crabs, anemones that fold to a dark knob at low tide and open into flowers when the water returns. Mussels that hold on with threads so strong they can withstand wave forces that would snap a rope. A child, kneeling at the edge of a tide pool and peering in, is encountering one of the most immediate examples of life's ingenuity. Every creature in that pool is a solution to the challenge of living at the edge. The future is in seeds. The Svalbard Global Seed Vault, a repository built into the permafrost of an Arctic island, holds over 1 million varieties of seeds from every agricultural plant humans have cultivated, preserved against any possible future disruption. But the natural world has its own seed banks. The seeds locked in permafrost and dry soil, and the cones of certain pine trees that only open after fire. Life backs itself up constantly in cold and dark and stillness, waiting for the conditions that will allow it to try again. A beautiful comment or a like on this video would mean so much, and the playlist is always there, waiting for your next quiet evening. The future is in the whales. Humpback whales compose songs, complex, changing sequences of sounds that can last for hours, that change over time as individual whales modify and spread new phrases through the population, the song evolving across ocean basins in patterns that resemble the spread of music through human cultures. Whales that were hunted to the edge of extinction in the 20th century have recovered in many populations, and their songs, interrupted for decades by the noise of commercial whaling, have returned to the deep ocean, adding their strange, beautiful voice back to the acoustic landscape of the sea. The future is in migration. Every autumn, monarch butterflies travel 2,000 miles from eastern North America to a handful of oyamel fir forests in the mountains of central Mexico. They have never made this journey before. The individuals who fly south in autumn are the great-great-grandchildren of those who flew north in spring. They navigate to a forest they have never seen, using a compass in their antennae that reads the sun's angle and a molecular clock that tracks the time of day. They arrive at the same trees their great-great-grandparents clung to, covering the branches so thickly the trees seem to be changing color, the sound of their wings, a soft collective rustling in the winter-cool mountain air. That is not information. That is memory, held in the body, passed down through generations without language or instruction, a knowledge so deep it might as well be instinct, which is what it is. The future of Earth is not a destination, it is a continuation. Tonight, in the quiet of wherever you are, the world is continuing. The fungi are working, the seeds are waiting, the tides are moving, the birds are roosting. One eye open, half the brain resting, perched in the branches of trees that are breathing very slowly in the dark. The rivers are moving over their stones. The ocean is breathing its long, slow swells. The soil is alive. The mountains are standing. Everything that will be has its roots in everything that is. And everything that is has its roots in everything that was. The earth does not end and begin. It simply changes, slowly and steadily, and with an intelligence so distributed, so woven into every living and non-living thing, that no single mind can hold it all. You are part of it. Right now, breathing and resting and letting the world settle around you. You are woven into the same fabric as the fungi and the whales and the glaciers and the stars. Let your eyes close now, if they have not already. Let the warmth of the earth come up through wherever you are resting. Real warmth, the stored heat of 1 billion years of sunlight, radiating gently from the ground. Let the sounds around you be the sounds of the world settling into night. The particular silence of your own home, which is a kind of sound, the small sounds of the building and the street and the faint wind and the distant world. All of it perfectly ordinary, perfectly safe, perfectly the sound of now. The future is already here. It arrived quietly while you were breathing. It will be here tomorrow morning in the light and the birdsong and the cool air and the particular feeling of a new day being offered, gently, without fanfare, the way the earth has always offered it. Sleep well. The world will be here when you wake.